Getting your documents scanned and digitized is a very good first step. So, nice job. But as more and more files are piling up, the question becomes how to best organize them. Before we dive into the details of how to name your files, how to organize them, and what are the tools out there, which I will cover in this video, let's just take a step back and let's consider this. For decades, there were only two methods, two ways, or some people call it two paradigms, on how to find your files in this digital space. You either search for them using a search term or a query, or you browse for them, either using a pre-built folder structure, folder hierarchy, or you create your own in this space. Everything was built around these two concepts. No matter what operating system you are using, whether it's Windows, Linux, or Mac OS, they follow the same approach. They offer you a search functionality and they offer you a file system, a browsing functionality. Even the web took this concept. So we have search engines on the one hand, and we used to have a lot of directories, which is essentially resembles this hierarchy, this menu structure. So everywhere you go on the web, when you face a menu, that is a type of browsing experience. So these were the two methods until today. And this is a topic for another video. I just want to bring this to you because this becomes important when you are organizing your files in the future. The third way, I believe, is when AI comes into the picture, and it's either what is called today prompt engineering, which is some sort of a search. One might argue that you put together a very sophisticated search term, it's a prompt, and then the AI searches in your documents if you let them study or kind of let them learn from your documents. And then it brings you back the results. But there is another aspect of this which is becoming more and more important, and it has never been done before, because either it was not possible or it was not cheap for us, for average users, for the masses. And this is the summarization of documents. So just imagine that you no longer search, you no longer browse, but you ask your AI assistant, you ask for an information, you look for an information, and the AI will bring you back the data. So that might be the third way, besides searching and browsing, on how you can in the future find your information, your files, if you start building up a digitized paper document base, essentially. But that's a sidetrack, so I would like to address more of the details in another video. Now let's get back to today, to reality. I started this digitization, this going paperless journey in 2018, and after 3,000 files and some gigabytes of data, you can see it somewhere, the exact details on the screen, I can tell you this, and this might be a bit of a shocking truth, that I used to be an advocate of putting as many details, the so-called metadata, into the file names for each and every single file as possible to make finding them easier. But what happened is that we all live in a very busy world, we lead very busy lives, so I no longer do that. And over the years, I realized, I came to this conclusion, which many may disagree with me, and I think you are also right in saying that file names do matter, but the shocking truth I realized over the years is that file names do not matter anymore. So the question is, how do I name my files then? What is a file name in my digital life? Well, it is auto-generated. So you can see a few examples again somewhere on the screen. It's basically, it's funny because even the first part doesn't really matter. Where you read Doxy, it's basically the software tool that is a companion software tool for my document scanner. So basically the software attaches this first element of the file name into each and every file name, and then the rest is an auto-generated timestamp. So it's basically the date and the time when I scanned the document. Now the question is, does it really matter? Will I remember when I search for a file that when exactly I scanned it? No, it doesn't matter, because ultimately what you are searching for is the data inside the file. That's one of the key important aspects, is that in the past it was a manual process of like, as I said, adding as many details to the file name and as many metadata to the file as possible. These days people are super busy. I've got 3,000 files, as you can see, so when I search for them I don't remember when I scanned the file. So this is just the only single criteria against file names, that each file name must be unique. This is how I solve this problem. I auto-generate this timestamp. Okay, let's move on. So imagine I have 3,000 plus files with these timestamps. But what I do is, whenever I scan them, again, I spend no more than 20 minutes a week on catching up on the paperwork and digitizing, scanning these files, and within the 20 minutes it's the sorting. So what I also do is that I came up with a very flat hierarchy, a folder hierarchy that I'm building as I go. So that there's another lesson here to be learned, is that you will never get it perfect the first time. As you go and as you scan more and more documents, you will realize that, okay, this is maybe a different category, so I create a folder for it. And what I mean by flat hierarchy is I'm trying to go not deeper than 3 levels deep. So there's a top level, there's a middle level, and if absolutely necessary, there's a 3rd level in the hierarchy. You can see an example over there. Again, your milieu may vary, so this is maybe not applicable to you, but this is how I put my files into these folders. And this is also how I search. So if I need to search for a file, it's just so much easier for me to browse to the actual category and then look into maybe 3, 4, 5 files, ultimately identifying, spotting what I need. So these are the 2 ways. Full text search basically is offered by, for example, Google Drive. So I put all of my documents into the cloud, Google Drive, and I back them up separately, obviously, but I search in Google Drive because it offers a full text search in the files, and it also offers me this hierarchical structure which I built over the years. Now there are specialized tools out there which I will add the link below in the description, but I'm not going to go into heavy details. This is a very early approach, and a very great one was, I think the tool itself is called paperless, and there is this next generation of this software called paperless NG. So these are 2 software tools that you can download, install if you have the time and the ambition to do it yourself, to host it yourself, and you don't have to rely on a cloud provider or a cloud storage provider or even Google. So you can download, you can install them. Basically, this is the key summary here. So the key takeaways is that if you can accept my experience of many, many years, then you will also realize that file names do not matter. So that's point number 1. Second is, please try to build a very flat hierarchy, as flat as it is possible in your life, in your scenario, and then sort the files in there. So again, that's just 20 minutes per week, and then it makes your life easier. And finally, I would just leave you with this thought: is if you're still not convinced that file names don't matter, and please use a flat hierarchy as possible, and you think maybe I'm oversimplifying this whole notion, is that just step back for a moment and just think about it, that okay, I spend 20 minutes per week on digitizing my files, and how many times do I need to search for a file in a month? The reality is that I only need to search for a file like 2 or maximum 3 times a month. And that is not a big burden for me to browse and kind of look at like 3 or 4 files where I narrowed down already where that file might be and just looking into it, or alternatively I can use full text search. So just please consider this effort versus benefit ratio. So thanks for watching. I'll leave you with this. See you in the next video.